IPMNation.com.
Counterpunch Media Live in 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Counterpunch Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy on IPMNation.com. If you're not going to Mortal Up, why not just stay in bed?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
No, I really. No, I think it is. What are you going to do? Welcome, and thank you for stopping by and hanging out for what is now the 442nd, right? 442, right? 442nd episode of the number one rated All Natural Being. And of course, the gong heard round the world, happens live every time. We like to think of it as your snooze alarm's sworn enemy. Radio that sparks your smart. Broadcast that builds your strong. And as you know by now, if you're here, you've got some legendary to unleash. Make no mistake, we're serving up the best thoughts in the history of thinking. And as always, I'm fired up to be your virtual hitchhiker, riding shotgun as you get into or get on with your day, whatever time you're listening to us. So what do you say? Here's your opportunity to mortal up, to crush your cant and your critics. You know, it's time. You can feel it. You can feel it. Let's go kick in some doors. And, you know, I as I've said this before, and I don't want to be redundant, right? You're like, Brian, well, that's all it is redundant with you. But, you know, when we do these low-life making headlines, and I get a lot of, you know, like text or tweets or people come up and going, oh, I've got a new low-life making headlines. And they really do write themselves each morning, right? Like you're thinking to yourself, okay, how does he come up with all this pre-production, all this material? All you got to do is get up, right? All you got to do is get out of bed. So this one this morning, and you know, this whole concept of low lifes making headlines is, you know how sometimes you want to clear your throat, or you just want to get something off your chest. You want to vent a little bit. All these people that are looking to obstruct human wherewithal, all these people that are absolutely hell-bent on keeping you down, right, on making sure that it's their power, right? And it just so happens that some of the low-lifes making headlines happen to be professional power seekers. You might know them as public siphons. PS could stand for power seeker, public siphon, you know, something like that. So, as I say all the time, it makes it. Thank you very much. Good morning to you as well. Oh, you know what? Let me just do this real quick. If you want to text, that's great. Thank you. Good morning to you as well. You can text us at 833-MIND-UPS. That's 833-646-3877. I got a little thing going on. I'm supposed to tell you that standard rates may apply for a text or this or that. But if you get a bill and you've texted into the show and you get a bill, let me know and I'll send you whatever the cost of that text into the show is. So see, even that in a way is toll free, as is the call. If you want to call in, 833-646-3877. You let me know what's on your mind, and most certainly get ready to talk to me about the low life making headline for today. Let me also go ahead and throw up the QR code if you're out the door and you're thinking, oh man, I can't wait anymore. I got to hit the road. I got to get to the, to the store, to the gym. I got to get the kids to school, whatever it is. Just hit this QR code up that's up on the screen right now. and it will take you directly to the live broadcast of All Natural Being. So there we have that as well. Thanks to our good friends at Telestreams Wirecast for coming up with that whole QR code thing. All right, so the low-life making headline this morning, and I know you're thinking to yourself, well, Brian, it's not fair to, here's an old guy, right, that got beat up, arguably from his own testimony, got beat up in the bathroom by an oversized rubber band he was messing around with. And right, it's a cautionary tale. Don't mess around with oversized rubber bands, I'm guessing. But in any event, this has got low-life making headlines at so many levels. We could talk all next week about this one story, but a former U.S. senator, and I don't want to throw him under the bus, right? So we won't mention his name. You just Google it if you're into it. But a former U.S. senator says that an exercise device caused a career-ending injury. Now, of course, the manufacturers of the device go, what are you, nuts? And I go, well, think about it. So there's a former U.S. senator, and here's what really grabbed me, right? So he says in this piece, I hurt myself really bad. I knew right away, right? He's working out in his bathroom with these big rubber bands, and I guess one cracks him in the eye or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how a rubber band misfires, but I think there should be a call. We should have a call to ban rubber bands. Banned rubber bands. Yeah, we should. So in any event, what I found interesting about this story, he says he claims that because of his injuries, he had to cut his career. He called it a career, right? Public siphons, once again, power seekers. He called his career. He had to cut it short after serving in the Senate for 30 years. 3 decades. Mr. Rubberband was in the Senate, and he wants everyone in the jury to believe that this particular rubber band, made right here in the great state of Ohio. I know you're thinking, right, with Buckeyes and everything else, right here in the great state of Ohio. He's assaulted by this rubber band, and apparently there's all kinds of people say, look, we tried to tell you, don't use the rubber band that way. How many times have I said you can't use a rubber band that way, right? Sometimes these rubber bands, they have minds of their own. But what qualified this story? Look, you feel bad. Someone gets roughed up by a rogue rubber band in their bathroom, right? You're in your boxers. You're going, oh, look at me. I can curl these rubber bands. Aren't I a bad guy? I've been in the Senate for 30 years. I'm a tough guy. And then smack, you get hit right in the head with your own rubber band. It's got to be demoralizing. But what makes it the low-life making headlines for this morning is your career has ended. You've been a public siphon for 30 years, 3 decades, and that's not enough of a career for you. Oh, I had to rush back to the Senate because it couldn't have operated without me. There's just no way it could operate without me. So I had to get back right away and let them know that I had been beaten up by a piece of exercise equipment. But that's what qualifies for the low life's making headlines. Public siphons, once again, power searchers, and they think, oh, well, 3 decades, 30 years, and their career is over. After 30 years, these are the people that we elect. These are the people that we put in power. I don't want to belabor the point, but you know where we're going with this, right? How about the people that you let control you in your life? Is there some maybe opinions or thoughts, or maybe some people that have been in charge for like 3 decades, and you go, I've had just about enough. So there you are this morning, low life making headlines. Any politician that thinks a 30-year career of being stalking power or a power stalker it thinks that 3 decades isn't enough, and his career was cut short because of this. That's something you got to sit up and take notice of. All right, let's do this, and we will be right back.
What's in store for this morning? Well, if you're tuning in for the AccuWeather True View Pinpoint up to the minute, out the door, early morning storm center weather first forecast, I'd check your phone to be safe, because all this ain't that.
Yeah, all this ain't that. Boy, isn't that the truth? And and as you know, as we try, we're getting ready. I'm 3 weeks away from the Big Five surgery, and so we're trying to we're trying to do everything we can to learn from other morning shows and this and that. And we've got a lot of really cool things coming, a lot of things that, right? So if you give us, grace us with your presence and you come in and you hang out, whether you're here hanging out live or you catch us up. And I should mention this now. This is a good segue as ever. I was talking to Matt Connerton over at IPMNation.com, and we're going to have the 30-minute guarantee. So you're thinking, what's the 30-minute guarantee? Well, thank you for asking, and thank you for the tweet. 30-minute guarantee means that as soon as the live show is over, within 30 minutes, within the hour, within 30 minutes, one half an hour, the on-demand show will be up at IPMNation.com, the Brawdy, which still makes me chuckle every time I think about that. IPMNation.com/the Brawdy. So within 30 minutes, if you're like, oh, I missed the live show, but I don't want to listen to what he was rambling on about yesterday. Well, I want today's show. This is our new 30-minute guarantee. We will have the show up and ready to go within 30 minutes of going off air. So thank you all for everyone that made those suggestions. And then now in talking to Matt, as soon as it goes up at IPMNation.com/the Brawdy, it just takes a little bit of time before it will be up on Spreaker and, iHeart and Spotify and iTunes and all the rest of that. But you'll be able to get it live within 30 minutes. That is my promise to you. Also, let me mention this quickly, because I don't think I did yesterday, but if we could do this real quick. IPM Nation's International Block Party for the Brian Brain Trust, and I just want to thank everybody who's participated in the Brian Brain Trust so far. Some really cool people, some really, really, really nice things, and all kinds of cool things over at the GoFundMe page. So I really super appreciate it. And a part of that we'll be discussing on April 13th. It'll be live 11 a.m. till midnight. I think I can make 13 hours, but it's 13 hours on the 13th. Then I think I'll be talking a little more about what's going on with the Brain Trust and what we're doing and everything else. So for everyone that's jumped in, and over 350 some odd shares, we're at almost $4,000. Thank you so very much. And just, can I just take a quick moment to say that what I'm really moved by, you expect your family, you expect your friends, right? So you've got that. But complete strangers, people that I've never met before, they're just so nice and so gracious and so just overwhelming. And I'm going to highlight some of those people on Monday's show, because you'd think, wait a minute, that is just so freaking nice of you. And so we'll be talking about that a little more. All right, so here's what we're going to do this morning. I wanted to call attention our good friend Henry Noel. I don't know if he'll be able to call in this morning. I'm hoping he can, but if he can't, I want to call attention to Choices Magazine. He's got a really great article that I read last night and reread this morning. You want to check it out. The title of his article is Destiny of Choice or Choice of Destiny. So it's I believe it's a magazine, but I'll figure out, and what we'll do is we'll post here in the feed exactly where you can take a read of the article. But it was a great article, and it basically says, look, it would ask the question, is life predetermined, or do you predetermine it? And it allows you, the article goes on to put you in a position to make that decision for yourself. Are those obstacles that we talked about yesterday, those obstacles as opportunities, are they preordained? Can you say, oh yeah, well, whatever's going to go down a month from now is preordained. It was destined to be. Or can you look at it as destiny? Is it something that you meld, that you make in the moment? My brother Bob, and I was texting with him just a little earlier this morning, takes railroad ties and puts them on a anvil and heats them up and bangs them out and makes all kinds of really cool, makes really super cool. Well, I've shown you the back scratcher before. There's the back scratcher. Here, let me get this. The back scratcher, that's a railroad tie, right? Or an old railroad tie. Look at that. Right? So I like this. And they make steak flippers and all kinds of cool things. But the point that I'm saying is that when you think of something being pounded out, do you make your destiny like he makes these cool things? Do you take the moment at hand? Do you take your wherewithal, your human wherewithal, your intellect, and your acuity, if you will, for the moment? Do you take that, do you put it on the anvil, and do you pound that destiny out like he does when he makes these really cool things? Or do you think, hey, you're just along for the ride, it's already written down in a book, Right? It's predestined. Well, that's what Henry's article is all about. So again, it's in Choices magazine. It's called The Destiny of Choice, or The Choice of Destiny. Henry might be calling in this morning to discuss the article. But if not, you want to go ahead and check it out, and we'll put up a link into the feed so that anyone that wants to read the article most certainly can. Speaking of feeds, let's hop over into there. Rita, good morning. I was just talking about someone you may know. I was just talking about Henry. Good morning, Rita. Nice to see you. John, good morning. Nice to see you, brother. It's been a while. It has been a long time. Hope everyone is well, he says. Thank you, John. To you as well, we hope. Heather says, great morning, Brian and friends. Happy Friday. And Heather, happy Friday to you as well. Fairly boggles the mind, doesn't it? Yes, it does, my friend. Here's the link. Oh, thank you. Rita's already put it up. Here's the link to Henry's article. And it's right in the feed. So if you get a chance to take a look at it, again, it's on page 17 when you get there. But the article is entitled Destiny of Choice, or Choice of Destiny. Rita, thank you very much. I was just talking about that. Oh, and this morning, to catch everyone up, if you're joining us late, we were talking about lowlifes making headlines, public servants. They like to call themselves public servants. I just call them public siphons, or the power seekers. And I find it fascinating that someone says, well, after 3 decades working for you in the Senate, my career was cut short by a rubber band. Thank God he didn't get like on a real machine, right? Thank goodness there wasn't something else that this boy didn't think to beat himself up with. But in any event, right, we're just like, yeah, the people in power, they've had a good run. If you've been there for 30 years, it's about time for you to call for the check, right? I'm not saying term limits, because you get in this argument. People say, well, with term limits, how do you know? How do you know that the people didn't want him there? They're the ones that keep voting him in. But I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? Anyone that wants to be in power for more than 30 years, then there's something about that we should just sit up and take notice of. All right, don't forget Destiny of Choice, or Choice of Destiny. It's Choices magazine, and Rita's put the link up here. Congratulations, if you would, Rita, give Henry a big hug for us and tell him congratulations. It was a great article, and a great picture, by the way, of him as well. Although I have to tell you, I like some of the pictures with Henry with the longer hair. Yeah, it's just me. Probably coming from a bald guy, right? You're like, hey, you got long hair. Why would you, right? So that's just a little bit of creative, Not that he needs my opinion, but I like him with the long hair. But that's just me. All right, so this morning, what are we going to talk about here at All Natural Being? We're talking about, are there those things that you've had that have stuck around way too long? Are there thoughts? Are there opinions? Are there things that you've had with you that they just don't serve you anymore? They serve themselves, right? And not necessarily people, but thoughts. Lee says, congratulations, Henry Noel. Lee, nice to see you. Good morning. Hope all is well. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking this morning about thoughts, ideas, opinions, safety blankets, bubbles, whatever you want to call them, that may have stuck around too long, that don't really serve you. They become rote. They become mechanical. They become those things that really tend to be more of a chop block than anything really that could still be powerful, but anything really purposeful in your life. You've just been doing it for so long. It's a habit. It's mundane. What is the one saying that people say all the time? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But what is it? Like these public siphons, do you have a mindset that's been around for way too long, and you're thinking, yeah, I need a term limit on that mindset. It would be great to go ahead and get that out of here. Let me say good morning to Jenny. Jenny, thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking about mindsets that have outstayed their welcome. What was it that Ben Franklin said? Fish and house guests start to smell after 3 days. Well, what about some opinions? What about some of the thoughts that you have about yourself? What about some of the ideas that you have about your own potential? And if you've listened to the show at all, then you realize that I think your potential is barely just this side of infinity. But are there some thoughts? Is there some baggage that you're carrying around that not in terms of letting your heart's highest priority be on the top of your list, doesn't allow you to dovetail your head with your heart, but it kind of encumbers you. It holds you back, and you've listened to it for so long. You've just bought into it, but maybe it truly doesn't support you. Do you have anything like that? And more importantly, what could you do? Right? Because a lot of people say, well, I've been thinking this way for a long time. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But what if you were to do a 20-minute victory and you were to say, okay, great. What are some of those thoughts that deserve to be subject to term limits? What are some of those ideas that I have about myself, or maybe that I have about life in general, that I need? Yeah, it's time to get them voted out of office. What would those thoughts be? Maybe you can write them down. And then, because I do them on a 3x5 card, as you know. If there's something to me that I want to work on, I put it right on a 3x5 card so that I can kind of exercise it. I can get it out of me, and then I can be somewhat of a disinterested observer by looking at it, right? It's outside of me. I'm looking at it. And then go, all right, great. What am I going to do for the next 20 minutes if I'm in the middle of a 20-minute victory? For the next 20 minutes, 1/72nd of my day, what can I do to bring my natural resources, right? To bring my grit, my agility, my stamina. What can I do to bring all those things to bear on this particular moment in all of time, to finally be a little selfish, to finally be a little narcissistic, to finally get to the point where I'm going to put my heart's highest priority top of the list? What would it be? What would those things be that you would write down and say, today is the day that I'm not going to take crap anymore from public siphons or personal siphons. I'm not going to take any more crap from myself. Let me see if I got the right one from Doug. I love this one. Hold on one second. Let's see what he says here.
Sooner or later, your soul gets tired of all your crap.
Well,
AllNaturalBeing.com.
Thank you very much, All Natural Being. That's not the one I was thinking about. Let's try this one.
All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Radio for the rare breed.
There you go. So that's the one I wanted. I should mark that. I'll remember that one. DH4 is that. So it takes a rare breed to decide to live, right, by your all-natural being. And I think that's why I love that tagline so much. Radio for the rare breed. Well, what if today were the day that you decided to be a little bit of a rare breed, where you decided to go, no goals, no carrots at the end of the stick, but I'm going to do what it takes to put my heart's highest priority top of the list. Jenny says, have a physical reminder. That's a very good idea. Some people do a band, like I have a little bit of a physical reminder of who I am in case the amnesia, right? No more amnesia. But I have to also tell you that this causes me to stand up straight when I look in the camera and I go, okay, well, if I'm off kilt, then it doesn't look nice and level. But there you go. Now it's level. But a physical reminder could very well be that thing, that you mark it down so that if you get to, and habitually some of these things that need to be subject to term limits, but they're not, we get to the point where it's so habit, we don't even think about it, right? It's just automatically, and then you go, oh, man, I just did it again. What is wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with you, right? Your mind is doing everything it can with all the incoming, with all the different resources coming in. Your mind is doing everything it can to keep everything afloat. So if you're going to give it something that it can do very rote, right, just mundane, the day in and day out, the mind's going to go, great, groovy, got it, let's go. Same way to work, same habit, brushing your teeth with the same hand every day, all these other things, right? But what it does at that point is that you go you're almost like on an autopilot, right? You almost get to the point where you're not even thinking about what you're doing. But if you wanted to be a rare breed, what would today be for you? How could you be that rare breed that Doug is talking about? Good morning. Let me say hi to Hillary. Hillary, thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're talking about term limits, not just for our public siphons, not just for the power seekers we call politicians, but we're talking about term limits for the thoughts that don't support us. Those attitudes, those ideas that we have about ourselves or about life that simply just aren't getting the job done when it comes to having your heart and your head dovetail. When it comes to putting your heart's highest priority top of the list, what are some of those things that you could jettison, like a politician that's been around way too long, like 3 decades, right? What are some of those things that you, admit it, you and I can both be guilty of it. What are some of those things that we're guilty of that we go, it's comfortable. I saw someone the other day with an obviously worn out pair of shoes, and it had to be tweaking their back. I'll have to ask Derek Noel from Derek Noel Fitness. Why, thank you, Hillary, very much. She says, hello, Brian, you look great. Well, thank you, Hillary. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the picture that we're using over on the Brian Brain Trust as well. So thank you for that, and Lee for that as well. But what are some of those things that you could do, like an old pair of shoes? I saw this guy walking, and the shoes, they're definitely worn out, but they looked, well, he must think they were comfortable, but it had to tweak his back because they were worn down on one side, because habitually he rolled to the outside of his left foot when he walked, so the outside of his left shoe was all worn down. Well, what are some of the habits? If your posture, right, if your philosophical posture isn't what it should be, what are some of the philosophical habits that you have that cause you to be a little off balance, that cause you to be out of equilibrium with your own mind, with your own heart? And what would it take? Maybe what it takes is just recognizing that you and I are doing it. And if we go, no, that's right, we need term limits for some of those things that don't support us, right? So what could you do? What would you do if today were the day that you decided to be a rare breed, a part of that rare breed? What would you do? And I think you grab a 3x5 card, you write it down, you go, what are some of those things that I go on autopilot, right? It's right? Just going through the labyrinth of life, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, the flukes, the whims, the sheer, just the beauty of the synchronicity and the serendipity of it all. Right? We talk all the time. Well, are there some blind alleys? Sure. Cul-de-sacs? Yes, but never dead ends. Right? So in that particular moment, you throw yourself into the labyrinth of life. You're just digging, being here in the garden of the mortals. And you decide today's the day you're going to be a rare breed and you're going to mortal up. What would you do? And the cool thing about it is that's still small voice, that little whisper inside of you that goes, yeah, he's a little nutty, right? Probably a couple quarts low this morning. Of spinal fluid, but he's on to something here. What would I do if today were the day that I was just going to say the heck with all of it, right? Everyone's opinions, all the thoughts, all the ways that I look at myself, or I look at my abilities, or I look at my environment, and go, yeah, I need some term limits on that. This is crazy. It just can't keep going this way. What would you do if today were the day you decided to be a rare breed? What would you do? And the thing that makes me so excited about it, right, is that I know it's going to work. It's not like some of those things that go, oh, get into this funnel, or you get into here, or get into there, and you can try this, you can try that. Here's a guarantee, absolute guarantee, that if you have this conversation with yourself and you go, okay, what would it take for me today to be a part of the rare breed that my good friend Doug was talking about? What would it take for you to be that rare breed? Put your heart's highest priority top of your list. And if you only do it for 20 minutes, here's what I guarantee you. Just like the new 30-minute guarantee that will get the show up within 30 minutes of going off air. Maybe not today because Matt's still going to teach me how to do it. But, starting Monday, the 30-minute guarantee. Maybe I'll have a little graphic created for that. But in any event, I can guarantee you this. You're going to have a smile on your face. Right? There's going to be a rhythm in your heart, and you're going to begin to feel it once again. Kind of like maybe like a chiropractic adjustment for your mind. Right? If you're all out of balance and you've been walking or dragging yourself along the surface of the earth here in the Garden of the Mortals for so long that you don't realize you're a little out of kilter, well, how about a chiropractic adjustment for your cognition? We could call it that. And maybe it begins, no more philosophical pesticides, right? All natural being. What would you do if you were going to put your heart's highest priority top of the list? You know. I don't know. You know. If you want to hit us here in the feed real quickly before we get ready to get out of here, give us a quick text or mention it here in the feeds on. Oh, and thank you for the people watching over on Twitter as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us. Don't forget, you can always text us 833-646-3877, 833-MINDUPS. And if your phone company decides to bill you for any of that, remember, just let me know how much that nickel was or that dime was or this and that, and I'll figure out a way of getting you that nickel or the dime. Or maybe we'll send you a bumper sticker, or we'll think of something. We'll make it so that you're not eating the fees. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Oh, it's the weekend. It's Friday if you're listening live. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. We got all kinds of new news. Monday starts the countdown. I got all kinds of things coming up on Monday. And included in that is going to be what I'm going to do to prepare my immune system for brain surgery number 5. It's a 21-day plan. I'll fill you in on all of it, on the guarantee and this and that and everything else. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so very much. We'll do this quick little thing from Wirestream in case you're interested in how we're doing this, and then we'll jump out of here. Have an absolutely fantastic day.
Welcome to Your Story Told Live. Wirecast is the award-winning production software for streaming and recording high-quality live video. Transform your computer into a television studio, switching between live camera inputs while mixing in your movies, music, audio, and slides for that creatively professional look and feel. Wirecast, because if you've got a powerful message, it deserves to be told live.
All right, look here. One of our executive producers for All Natural Being. Can you look right here at the camera? Can you wave? Can you wave? Say, have a nice day. Can you say, have a nice day?
Oh, no.
No, you can't say. Well, if she could, I'm sure she'd say, have a nice day. Okay. So can you say bye? Bye. All right. It's a blast. I have like 5 executive producers, so that's here in the mornings. Thank you all so very much for joining. We're not even going to go with the close. We're already out of time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and we will see you bright and early Monday morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
IPMNation.com